Hello and welcome to another show of The Happiest CEO, which is meant to give you tools to become the happiest CEO of your life or of your health or of your company or of your family, whatever you might be CEOing. Overall, this is here for you to give you more resources to really live the best life that you can. And I'm here today with Tara, and I'm really, really excited. Hi, Tara.
Hi.
Tara Shields has left a really high-flying career as a CEO of a fashion career in Melbourne. Well, CEO, I don't actually know, but you were certainly in that line of work a lot and traveled the world,
hmm
had an amazing lifestyle,
hmm
and probably also a lot of wealth that comes with it and all the dreams that people see, especially in the material world. However, through kinesiology, Tara completely transformed her health and happiness
hmm
and life. And now she's a fully qualified kinesiologist and is based in Byron Bay, the beautiful Byron Bay, helping people worldwide and online
hmm
um, clear emotional blocks, heal traumas, and live with vitality and balance, which is really exciting. And in this episode, Tara will share many different things, including her journey, which is an incredible one, and some life-changing powers that you can access through kinesiology and practical tips also to help you feel much healthier, happier, and more aligned with your life and your true self. So let's dive in. Hi, Tara.
Yes. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you. How very
Mm.
cool. So kinesiology is a tool that I know a little bit, and I've had sessions over the years, and I'm always amazed how precise it is without really understanding sort of like how this even can be possible, that you as a practitioner can figure out, sometimes deepest truths than actually the patients, and the patient might not be even aware that there's something there. um if you would describe sort of like kinesiology, and it's probably a bigger question, but like on the surface, what would you say it is?
Yeah. So great question. And I always find explaining kinesiology quite challenging in that I can't really say it in a sentence
Yeah.
or two.
Yeah.
So, kinesiology is really multifaceted. So,
Hmm.
it uses lots of tools, lots of techniques, lots of different modalities and procedures all in one. And it weaves lots of science and psychology, talk therapy, ancient wisdom. So, it got deep roots in traditional Chinese medicine and lots of other modalities that bring it together to make this beautiful, transformative, and powerful healing session or modality. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And is that a process that normally takes one session, or does it depend a little bit on the issue that you're working on?
I guess, look, when people first come and see me,
Mm.
they usually come in with a problem. So whether it be a physical element, so pain in their body perhaps,
Mm.
or maybe some emotional trauma
Mm.
that's been going on for them, whether it
Mm.
be a breakup or a loss of a family member or a loved one, people come in with some sort of issue. So what I do in the beginning of a session is obviously just sit with them
Mm.
and connect in with
Mm.
what's going on for them. So it doesn't really matter what people come in for. It's generally we're working with connecting in with their thoughts, feelings, and emotions at that point in their time,
Mm.
in whatever's going on for them to really acknowledge, understand, and connect in with what's happening. And then we start to move through that. And I can explain a little bit about
Mm.
what it is that
Yeah,
how I
please.
do that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be great.
So kinesiology, like I said, it uses lots of different tools, techniques, and
Mm.
modalities. And I think one of the most important things I want to emphasize is that it's very different to talk therapy. It's very different to other healing modalities in that we really connect in with the mind. So we bypass the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is who we think we are.
Mm-hmm.
But really, we go into the deep subconscious mind, and
Mm.
that's who we really are. So think about your subconscious mind like your computer
Mm-hmm.
hard drive. And this is where all your beliefs, programs, patterns, behaviors, memories are all stored. So that is where we want to go into. So kinesiology is great because we take you into a deep theta space, which is a
Amazing.
brainwave.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 5 different brainwaves, and theta is that magical place just before you go to sleep, right? So it's a really hypnotic, really it's like a suggestible, creative space. And so when you get into that space, which is where I take my clients, it's like the conscious mind leaves the room. And so you're in this beautiful space of having no critical mind. So if I was working with you and you were like, really want a relationship,
Yeah.
but the subconscious is saying, oh, I'm not good enough,
Yeah.
I'm not special enough, I'm not lovable, nobody thinks anything of me. And so these are all the deep-seated belief systems we need to get to in the subconscious to then really work with all those to flip them over to be, you are lovable, I am lovable, I am beautiful, I am enough, and I'm worthy of a healthy, happy relationship. When you change that from that deep-seated subconscious subconscious mind, we come back into the conscious mind, and it blows my mind every time because so many people are just like, oh my god, I feel so different instantly. So it's because you've changed the computer program. So imagine if that computer program was old and glitchy and it was freezing and, it just wasn't working,
Yeah.
really slow to process.
Yes.
That's how our minds can get when we get stuck in belief systems, programs, patterns, and just emotional trauma. We get stuck there. So we need to go into that theta state to get deep into the subconscious to start clearing out programs. And then when we bring the conscious mind back, we start to really feel the difference. And it is instant.
Wow,
And
that's
that's why
amazing.
it's so powerful.
Yeah. So if I repeat back to you, so basically kinesiology really is an array of tools, your whole toolbox, right? But really the place you're working with is one that we're not aware of in a sense, right? And if I understand sort of the subconscious mind, right, then sort of between 1 and 3 is a really formative time to start with, and then up to 12, I think, is also really formative. Anything after that, well, trauma can of course certainly still occur, or beliefs, and it often has a negative connotation to me. But the reality is, I guess, we grow up in a particular time, and the belief system often helps. Like, it helps to align with your parents that might have a problem with relationship or money or whatever that might be, health, and so you align with that. But then as you become your own person and you grow up, you actually want to expand, want to improve, want to upgrade, yeah, which I believe that's just normal for humanity to move on, right? And even if you would have the most beautiful childhood, I would probably argue, even then you would have something in the subconscious that said, that doesn't serve me anymore, right? So
Correct.
you don't have to be in dire strait, I guess, and you don't have to have the worst of worst experiences in your younger age to then want to come to you actually and say, like, I want more from life maybe as well. I want
Correct.
to be
Yeah.
more open to things, want to see things differently through your lens. And the way to do that, if I understand you right, is really working on the subconscious and changing the belief systems there, right?
Correct. And that's a really good point that you made, because not everyone comes to see a kinesiologist because they're stuck in trauma or they've got really bad, toxic belief systems and behaviors. There's a lot of people that come to see me to make more money, to find a beautiful relationship, or to run a marathon, or to do different things. It's not just all doom and gloom. You can actually use kinesiology to power up your mindset and to believe that you are capable and worthy and deserving of all those things that you desire in life.
Right. So how do you get to that place? Because it's probably something. Do I, like, in my normal life, if I would I touch on that hard drive ever? Like, do I ever get that deep into myself?
So 95% of the time,
Mm.
we are working out of that subconscious program.
Oh, but we're not rewriting it.
So no.
Oh.
So 5% of the time, we
Mm.
think that
Mm.
we're conscious and
Mm.
we're like, oh, I'm going to do that, and I'm
Mm.
going to say these
Mm.
affirmations, and I'm going to do those exercises, and I'm going to lose weight, and I'm
Mm.
going to find that partner, and I'm going to, all these things is the conscious mind.
Mhm.
That's only 5%. The deep seated beliefs, programs, patterns, and behaviors are all locked in to the subconscious. And that's you 95% of the time. So, a perfect example of the subconscious
Yep.
would be, do you remember driving a manual? We call it
Yes.
we call it manual. I don't know if you
Yes.
call
Yeah.
it
Yeah. No,
shift or
that's
whatever.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're first doing it, I remember I was like looking down and not looking at the road, and it was actually really challenging to learn all the things, looking in the mirrors and
Mhm.
making sure you're concentrating
Mhm.
on the road and trying to learn how to put the stick in different gears and
Yes.
things like that. Now, you could probably drive now and have a conversation with your
Yes.
wife on the
Right.
phone,
Yes,
and
I
you could
could
be
so do that.
doing many different things,
Yeah.
right? So that is a perfect example of when we learn something and you do it over and over and over and over and over
Mhm.
and over and over, it gets locked in
Yep.
to your subconscious.
Mhm.
So there's certain things in our subconscious that are great, like learning how to drive a car, learning how to walk,
Mhm.
learning how to swing a tennis racket or a golf club,
Mm.
There's all these things that we learn and they go deep into the subconscious where we kind of don't even need to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
So there's things that are great and then there's things that are not so great. So
Mhm.
you might find that certain beliefs, behaviors, and patterns are not serving you.
Mhm.
So for me, I grew up in an environment where my dad was an alcoholic and my mum, bless her, was trying to cope with two kids and my dad.
Mhm.
And it was a really challenging time, but I witnessed alcohol as a way of numbing, as a way of coping. And so I struggled with alcohol for a lot of my 20s.
Oh.
So, with the alcohol and the program that I learned from well, it's a very Australian cultural thing as
Mhm.
well, isn't it?
Mm.
But the alcohol was a really big issue for me because growing up, we weren't allowed to talk about anything. So we had to suppress everything. So my mum didn't want anyone to know that my dad was an alcoholic. And so I went into a program of you don't feel anything. Emotions are not important.
Right.
So you just lock them down
Mhm.
and then you don't feel anything.
Mm.
So that's a good thing.
Mm.
And then when I got old enough, I was like, oh, and then you drink and it numbs you even more.
Mm.
So that's great. So you don't feel any emotion.
Mm.
But it's not great because then when I went into, and if you want me to talk a little bit about how I
Mm.
got into
Mm.
kinesiology, I went into the most amazing career.
Mm.
And I was a fashion buyer and a designer,
Mm.
and I loved it. But it was really stressful and high pressured and relentless and lots of anxiety producing, in charge of millions and millions of dollars.
Mm.
So it was a really high pressured job. Now, because of my programming and background in you drink to numb out and you don't show any emotion,
Mm.
I lived a life where I was so stressed. And I didn't actually know that I was living in these negative thoughts, patterns, beliefs,
Mhm.
and behaviors that really made me so sick.
Mm.
So I would work every day. I'd be working like 8 to 12 hours a day, some weekends, and
Mm.
we'd be traveling the world as a buyer and
Mm.
not having hardly any sleep. And then because you're working so much, you're eating bad food. So it was like this cocktail of disaster. Like
Mm.
as a health and wellness person now, I'm actually horrified that I actually did that for so many years. 10 years I did it for. And for me, I was just like, there's something not right. I had digestive issues, I had insomnia, I had like debilitating migraines. So I had all these health issues, and I was just like, what is going on?
Mm.
And I thought it was just life.
Mm.
I thought this is adult life. You work hard, you play hard.
Mhm.
So I would drink every night to numb the stress and anxiety from work. And then I would have blowouts on the weekend because I would be like, oh my God, I'm so stressed that I need to relax. I need to numb out. I need to, the anticipation of Monday was so scary that I would drink even more on the weekends.
Ah.
But that was a program that I learned from my parents.
Ah.
That was a program and a belief that I learned from society.
Mm.
So there's heaps of these beliefs in our subconscious programming or our subconscious mind that are programs and patterns that are not serving us.
Mhm.
So a kinesiologist will pinpoint those. So if you came to see me and you were like, well, I can't lose weight, Tara, and I'm trying to run these marathons and I've got sore
Mm.
knees
Mm.
and things like that. I would look at that holistically
Mm.
because that's how I work. So
Mhm.
that just basically means physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and biochemical. So we
Mhm.
work on the whole body. And that's another reason why kinesiology is so different. It's not just talk therapy and clearing emotional trauma. We work on the whole being.
Mm.
So I would go, okay, so what programs do you have about imagine if you did get really fit and healthy and
Mhm.
imagine if you were running the marathons, how would you feel? And you'd be like, oh my God, I'd feel amazing and I'd feel empowered and I'd feel strong and, I'd bring in everything that I desire. And then we'd check your body through muscle testing.
Mhm.
So we'll get to that. And your body wouldn't believe it because your subconscious goes, I don't really want to do that. I'm not worthy of that. I don't deserve that. I can't be bothered doing
Mm.
that. And so all of these beliefs get stuck in your subconscious. So this is why in kinesiology, we go to that place to clear them all out. And once we do that, then you start believing all those different, I'm worthy, I'm deserving, I'm enough, I'm lovable, I'm special, I'm fit, I'm healthy. All of these are coming now from a deeper belief.
Because if the belief system is in a negative way, like I can't run a marathon, for example, your conscious mind will pick up on that and basically just confirm that.
Correct. Because it's like the thing I love about kinesiology too is that your conscious mind is like, oh, okay. So if you have a
Yeah.
program that says, um,
Well, I can't lose weight. Because
yeah,
that is something that I'm dealing with.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
So sometimes we have a set point.
Yeah.
And the weight thing. So let's just work with that.
Yeah.
So if you come to me and you go, Tara, I want to lose weight.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, cool. So why do you want to lose weight? What are you finding? Like you might go, well, I'm sitting on the couch and eating burgers and fries. And I know you're not, but I would be like, oh, well, that's interesting. Do you see that your body's like you're doing all these things that are sabotaging yourself
Yeah.
from the real goal that you want?
Yeah.
And for, I guess, understanding that your conscious mind will just be like, oh, yeah, but that's just what I do. And I want to change, but I can't change. So if you came to see me and we started working on the really deep-seated beliefs, why don't you want to lose weight? And why don't you, want to get fit and healthy? Then we start changing that for you to go, I'm worthy, I'm deserving, I'm loving, I feel safe to be in that space. Because sometimes this is really interesting. This is more to do with women, but I've found in, 16 years of kinesiology, women don't feel safe in their body, so they hold weight.
Yeah.
So they
Protection.
hold weight. And not that I don't believe this is true, but they think that by putting on weight, they're less attractive, they get less attention.
Yeah.
So it's a safety thing. So we do hold a lot of weight sometimes through, I don't to be a woman. I don't feel safe to be that weight because you might get more attention, or it might mean, for if we get really down to the nitty gritty, I've had a client that was saying that if I become more attractive, then I'll have to have sex with my partner.
Right.
So see these belief systems? These belief systems
Yeah.
are actually working on, well, this is what's holding her back from losing weight.
Yeah.
And this could be something that's going on for you that you don't even know.
That's right.
But the more that we slow down and we get into that beautiful theta brainwave to really, like I said, get rid of that critical mind and just work with what's really going on for you, you could start going, actually, yeah, I don't think I really want to lose weight because that means it's going to be such a effort to train every day, and I don't have time, and I don't have the money to go to the gym, or there's so many excuses. And that's what we clear.
Right. So how would you clear that? Doesn't bring quite. Oh, I mean, time. Yeah, sure. So if I would say, like, look, I just don't have the time to do, I don't know, an hour of cardio per day or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So how would you clear that? How would you get to my subconscious that way?
So obviously in the beginning, there's lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's multifaceted. So there's lots of mirroring, there's lots of tone of voice, we get into heart coherence. So in the beginning, I was quite nervous. I could feel my heart pounding, and then we settled in, and then we started, like if we had heart monitors on, our hearts would be at the same frequency.
Right.
And so then we go into that beautiful theta space and we start talking about things. So if you said a simple goal, hey, Tara, I've come to you today because I want to lose weight. And I'll be like, great, okay, why do you want to lose weight? And so we talk about, I want to be fit and healthy to run a marathon, or I want to fit into my clothes better, and things like that.
Yeah.
So then I would say, but what are you feeling now about your body? What are you feeling? All the negatives about what you're feeling.
Yes.
So you might go, well, I feel a bit gross in my body. I feel unattractive. I feel unhappy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm unfulfilled. And with all of those things, then we tend to fill a hole, which is our stomach. And then we eat things that we shouldn't eat.
Mhm.
Or we think, well, I can't really be bothered. So then you don't go for that hour run or
Yeah.
do a
Right.
cardio session.
Yes.
So there's lots of beliefs that are holding you back. So in the beginning of the session, I connect in with all the negative emotions that you're feeling. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to
Yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah. Like,
about,
that's right.
but if you wanted to, we
Mm.
could, talk about some of those negative emotions. So then from that negative
Mm.
space, then we flip it.
Oh, okay.
And then we go into the positive emotions of where you really want to be.
Yeah. Look, maybe that's true. I'm not 100%, but let's say there are more expectations on me. I would have higher expectations myself
Mm-hmm.
if I would be like, like perfectly fit in all different ways, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel that I have expectations that I would have way more energy. I would think that people have the expectations that I can't take a day off or, show weakness because I don't have an excuse. I have perfect health. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you would be letting other people down because you have a big family? To take time out for yourself would feel selfish?
Um, I just think I would have one less excuse to make mistakes and to be imperfect in any shape and form, whether at work with friends or something like that. I just feel that actually rings a lot of truth. Like, at least you can say, well, like, I'm not in top health. I don't have enough sleep. Therefore, if I make mistakes, that's probably why.
Mm. So this is a great example of having. So I'm going to throw back to an experience that I had.
Yeah, yeah,
So in my start of my career, I had
yeah,
lots of friends down at a gym in Sydney.
yeah.
And they said, we want you to come down and treat all of our
Great.
clients. And I'm like, okay, great.
Mm.
So this is similar to you, right?
Okay.
Because what I did was I was so nervous about making a mistake. I
Mm.
was so nervous about them going, who's this chick? She's a
Mm.
weirdo.
Mm.
She does
Mm.
all this weird stuff. And then I could fail, right? So the fear of failure holds us back in different ways.
Mm.
For me, I was totally fit and healthy. I got there. I had the worst sinus infection. Like, I'm
Mm.
talking without sounding too disgusting, but I had lots of mucus, phlegm, like I was sick.
Mm.
And then I did all my kinesiology on myself that night going, what is this?
Mm.
Because it's clearly I'm so scared of failing
Mm-hmm.
that I use that. But the reason why I wasn't great down there in Sydney is because I wasn't well,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Good excuse.
So we default into, but it's an excuse because I'm not willing to show that I didn't do a great job. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And work on that,
Mm.
because we default back, but I wasn't well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the time we default back into that belief system of, well, if I was 100%, I probably would have done better.
Yeah.
So that night I cleared a lot of that stuff. Morning, I was totally fine. And I did
Yeah.
an incredible job down there, which is great.
Yes.
So that is an example that I experienced
Mm.
too, where I was so scared to fail.
Mm.
And I've done that so many times in my life. And I just had to bite the bullet with all of the fear of failure,
Mm.
and that's like a part of my story that I can go into as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do that. But overall, basically, assistance. You really need assistance to go in there, unless you're trained like yourself. You can do it on yourself, but without really knowing what you're looking for, you probably wouldn't really be able to dig very deep or clear, right?
So the interesting thing about that
Mm.
is you can't heal anything from a space of where it you've got to go into the space of where you created it to heal it.
Yes.
So the conscious mind, you can stand in front of the mirror and go, I am beautiful, I am great. Or you can stand on
Yes.
the scales and go, I am like this
Yes.
weight. It's not going to work
Yeah.
because your conscious mind is 5%. The programs are coming from the deep subconscious mind. So you need to, sometimes you can, if you've got the skills and the tools, you can actually work with yourself. And because I do a lot of that myself, but
Right.
absolutely, you need
Yeah.
somebody to go into the deep seated, bigger trauma stuff. And that's why I always see healers and kinesiologists, and have done throughout my whole life pretty much since I was about 20.
Yeah. Before we go into that story, I think it rings truth that we also live in a time where we are exposed to a lot of possibilities, a lot of, oh, you can live like that, and this person is almost like me, but they have a better life, so I want to get there too. And so I think the difference to back in the days, if you had a, like, let's say 50, 100 years ago, you would probably go to someone if you have a real big issue, but not necessarily if you had a strong want. At least not mainstream. I know, I mean, when you think about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, I listened to his original talks recently, like live talks, and you could see even people in the 30s and the 40s were interested in that, but that's a really small minority. Most of the people would probably just go to get help if they need to. Whereas today, I think it's people just want more because they can see what's possible. And I think that's where the permission comes to actually find a coach like yourself, not because things are really, really bad, but because we know it could be better. Therefore, I'll find someone who can coach me through that. So I think we live certainly in a time where there's much more permission to ask for help earlier, which is really, really beautiful. I see this all around me in so many different ways. And I think that gives me a lot of hope that people are actually ready to, I guess, evolve.
Absolutely.
Mm,
I do believe that, yeah, we're not bad people. We're just bad programs.
very good.
So I
Yeah.
think a lot of what we have inside ourselves, if we want to
Mm,
create these things and we look at
write
other
that down.
people, we actually need to understand that the only reason why we're doing that or not
Mm,
doing that is because it's our programming.
yeah.
So, one thing I want to talk about, which I really love, is a beautiful quote or, an analogy from
Mm,
my kinesiologist years ago was she said, triggers are an opportunity for your growth and
yeah,
expansion.
great.
So when you look at somebody else and you're like, but why have they got the house? Why have they got the great job? Why have they got the great partner? Why have they got the great body
Yeah.
or the great health and wellness? And you can really use that
Mm.
to go in to yourself and go, why am I getting so triggered by that? What is
Mm,
it about
mm.
that I'm feeling?
Yeah.
And so a beautiful way of doing that is journaling.
Ah.
So, I mean, to define a trigger
Yeah.
is obviously someone's upset me or
Yes.
I'm getting jealous or
Mm-hmm.
resentful
Yes.
or I felt hurt by the person, the scenario, or the situation.
Mm.
So, when you go internal, it could mean pondering, it can mean sitting and journaling, it could be talking to a girlfriend or a mate or someone that, you can really talk and express yourself to. But I love journaling
Mm.
because then you don't feel judged because no
Mm.
one's reading it, hopefully.
Yeah.
And you can go through and really express, okay, that made me jealous or that made me resentful because this.
Huh.
It's a really quick and easy way to get into the subconscious to find
Mm.
out what is it that you're believing about yourself. Because
Mm.
a lot of the programs are just stories and belief systems that we've picked up from, say, your parents, or you're not good enough if you don't do that, or stop, you're too much, or you're just too loud. You're not very good at that. You've always been like this and you've always never done that. These are all the words that the ego can start to believe, but it's from a belief system in the subconscious.
That's fascinating.
Mm,
Yeah, because that's not rocket science, right? It's everyone has experienced something of that, and it doesn't feel even that heavy.
mm,
It's parents probably just use it to sort of think they just give a little nudge, but I guess the subconscious, because that's what when you're child where it goes right into, right, takes it as like, okay, I'm
mm-hmm.
too loud. I better never sing, right? Or whatever it might be.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is why I was talking to
Yeah.
you before we started with I had so much fear
Mm,
about life.
mm,
And I was like, I'm doing all the things that I can do,
mm,
but I know I can be doing more. And I was like, okay, Tara, what are those things? What is it that's you want to do,
mm,
but you're terrified to do?
mm,
So I did them.
mm.
And it was wild. So I started singing.
Mm,
I started swimming in the
mm,
bay with sharks,
mm.
and I started surfing.
Yeah, wow.
So those three things were huge for me. And
Mm,
it just because I looked at myself and I'm like, am I really living? Am I really living to my
mm,
fullest
mm.
potential? No, because I was scared of failure. I was scared of being hurt or ridiculed with my voice because as a kid, I'm sure somebody said, "Oh, stop singing. You got a terrible voice." Boom. There's my belief system.
That example is in the Five Agreements, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Be
Exactly.
impeccable with your word, or which one?
Um,
I love that one.
well, the mother says to her daughter, "Stop singing. You have an ugly voice,"
Mm,
and that hits the child never sings again.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's how easy it is.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And I mean, even if, I mean, I don't know if we're going too personal with you, but,
That's
you
right.
know, as a child,
Yeah.
maybe you were overweight,
I certainly was a bit chubby, that's for sure. I wouldn't say overweight, quite, but yeah, a little bit
but did
chubby.
you feel chubbier than the kids, the other kids?
Most likely. Well, I mean, at one stage I was conscious about it, but I probably was heavier before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So even something that simple where
Yeah,
somebody goes, ah, da, da, da,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
makes fun of you,
Yeah,
then you've got a belief system. I am fat or I am chubby or I'm different.
yeah, huh,
And then it becomes your identity.
yeah,
So your identity is locked into those belief systems. So you change your beliefs and you change your reality.
yeah, yeah. Well, this whole good enough, like I was dyslexic, well, diagnosed with 6, I think, and ever since, certainly not good enough for school.
Mm,
And I played that out really well to the point that's like, oh, I don't go anywhere in life if I don't change. And I gave it a push with 16, but prior to that was the dark times because I'm like, I'm not fitting in. Obviously, I'm not good enough. I don't know why I'm even here. But it's
mhm,
that label, right? I think it's sometimes underestimated what that does. Maybe
mhm,
coming with good intent, we
mm,
protect them from participating fully in exams because they're dyslexic, but it gives you also the signal like, well, I'm definitely different, if
mm.
not as good as the others.
But sometimes that can work in your favor too,
It has
because
in the long term,
for me, my parents passed away recently, and
right?
so I can talk a little bit about all that trauma and how it changed me. But I took that I used that in a very different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I got out of my comfort zone. I did the
Mm-hmm.
surfing, swimming, singing. I wanted to live my life because I saw the fragility of life. And
Mm.
so I really wanted to do all the things that I stopped myself from doing out of fear and out of
Mm.
maybe rejection from others or ridicule from others. So I did all that. Whereas my sister, she's totally gone down a different path. She's probably more shut down from it and really stuck in life and things like that. So, we can both have the same trauma and you can take it in two different directions. And I think with something like what you're describing,
Mm.
I know too, I grew up in a similar environment at school where I felt dumb
Mm.
and stupid.
Definitely.
And that was my program. But guess what? This is the thing that fuels our entrepreneurship,
That's so true.
right?
Yes.
Because we're like, well, I don't want anyone to see how dumb I am and how stupid I am and how unintelligent I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my butt off over and over and over. And I'm going to work, work, work because I need to prove to everyone that I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
Right. And so you'll find that a lot of entrepreneurs have had some sort of trauma that they need to prove something to someone or they need to get love from someone. And that's a primal belief system of if I'm not loved, I'll be left in the jungle on the floor and die.
Yep.
So a lot of what I do in my clinic is working with people to help them to see all of these emotions. I love doing this. I call it the domino effect. It's so cool. So one emotion would be I'm scared
Yeah.
to perform,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whatever that may
Mm-hmm.
be. I'm scared to perform. And then I do like a little circle and I go right in there, scared to perform. And then I go, well, what's the worst thing about that?
Mm.
Oh, because I might be ridiculed.
Mm.
Okay, ridiculed. What's the worst thing about that? That I'll look stupid. Okay,
Mm.
what's the worst thing about looking stupid? And then we go on and on and on. And sometimes there's 20 emotions. So this is what happens in the body. It's not one emotion, it's one that's linked in and it's like a domino all the way down. And guess what the last emotion is?
Love.
No,
Not being loved.
the opposite. It's like I'm going to be so unloved that I'm going to die.
Oh.
Because it's like, so then if you see all those dominoes together and we go, okay, let's just simplify it and
Yeah.
squish them all together. What's the first domino? What's the last domino?
Mm-hmm.
If I perform, I'm going to die.
Yes.
So all of these emotions is what I deal with in clinic. Literally every single emotion I deal with.
No shortcut. You have to go through them.
You got to go through it. So you got
Uh-huh.
to feel it to heal it.
Yes.
And going into the emotion
Uh-huh.
is quite tricky for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for me, I sit with the person, really go into how you're feeling about that. When did that first come up?
Mm.
Oh, how was your childhood around that? Oh, is that why it happened? And you can just see their brain like tick, 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 just connecting all the dots of, oh my God, yes, I've been doing that my whole life. I can't believe I've never realized that. So that domino effect is great because the end result is the primal need to be loved because it means because we have this innate feeling that if we're not loved, we're going to die. We're part of a community. This is the humanness of us. We love this connectedness. We are meant to be together. And a lot of the time when we go out on a limb and we go, I'm dumb or I'm stupid or I can't do that because I might fail. Really, if I went through all of those emotions with you, the last one would be because I wouldn't be loved and I could die.
Wow.
And it always ends on I want to die.
Yes.
And, I say to people, you can be extreme here. They're not suicidal.
No.
But imagine if you made a fool of yourself. Imagine if nobody loved you. Imagine if you were super lonely. And then how would that feel? What's the point of living? So then what is that? Death.
Yes.
But really the beauty of that is it's the death of the ego.
Right. Okay. And that's okay. You dissolve that. Yeah.
Because those belief systems that are not working for you, the negative ones, are part of the ego. So the ego, what it sounds like is you will never, you always, fear, separation, distortion. All of that is the ego. And we haven't really spoken much about the ego, but it's a huge part of what I do.
And helpful too, right? It's a layer that is like we need the ego, at least our parts of the world. Often people say like, oh, you need to dissolve your ego, and it's not. But then you don't have a human experience anyway, and it's a great commander to actually point you in the right directions. You just want to have a source of subconscious beliefs that the ego draws from that is actually helpful, right?
So in a healthy person, there's two voices. And so one is your higher self. That's the all-knowing, and it's like the pure love, emotional compassion and kindness. And then there's the other voice, which is the ego. So that's the one going, you'll never lose weight. What are you talking about? You've got no time to even exercise. What are you talking about? You're so busy. That's never going to happen, right? That is where we want to dissolve that. Now, so it's not superseding the ego. We don't want to just get rid of the ego because, as you said, it's the human experience. But what we need to do is imagine your ego driving the bus. It's going to take you into really some dark places because if you keep believing that you'll never get there, no one's ever going to love you, you're never going to have what that person has because you're stupid or dumb or whatever, then it takes you into these places that are not helpful for you, right? So we need to go, okay, ego, what are you actually saying here? Then we flip it and lock in those programs that are the opposite to that so you can reach your goals, reach your full potential. But the ego, it's like if it's driving the bus, you feel kind of out of control. It's like, oh, well, that's just the cards I got dealt. But if we take the ego and pop it down the back of the bus, it can be like, you're not good enough. And you're like, you're hilarious, So it's like the voice becomes super, super silent. So for me, look, there's some things where the ego is really, really strong. But a lot of I've worked on myself for like, oh my God, 20 something years now. And the ego is quieter. So I can be doing stuff and the ego goes, hey, Tara, you're blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? That's not true. But then there's other things that I go, oh my God, is that true? So they're the things I need to work on.
Yeah.
So it's really getting still enough, connected into yourself enough to listen to yourself, to hear your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions to work out what's going on for you. Because you'll hear that voice. And that is that. It's similar to what I mentioned about the triggers before. If you really connect into what is being reflected back at you, because it's a mirror of your reality, then you can really tune into what you're feeling to then clear it. Because a lot of the time we do this, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. And we just shove it down. And then it manifests into dis-ease in the body. So it could be pain in the body. It could be weight that you're holding on to. It could be migraines. It could be sickness of some sort. So we really need to stop, slow down, connect in, and really acknowledge what is going on for us. And we do that in kinesiology in the first session, and this is why it's so powerful, because a lot of people don't even allow an hour and a half, that's my session time, to themselves.
Yeah.
To really just go, all right, we have got an hour and a half for you.
Yeah.
What's going on?
That sounds very familiar. Yeah. So can the ego also be like the one that's like, you're amazing. Hey, you over there, you can do this?
It can, well, yes.
Right. So there is a way to actually reprogram or to make that voice louder towards the ego or the subconscious beliefs.
There are, like I mentioned, there's some really great belief systems.
Mm.
And yes, the ego can be like, I mean, you know, people like this, I'm sure, that go, I am the best and I'm amazing and everything is all related around me. And that's also negative,
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
though it can
yeah,
be positive. But remember, we bring everything into balance. So when
yeah.
people come and see me, I mean, I have a lot of people who are people pleasers.
Hmm.
So it's a big part of who come in because they're just like, I am sick and tired of doing everything for everybody else. And I keep saying yes. And it's like, yeah, so stop. And they're
Yeah,
like, oh, but I can't, because then again, those dominoes,
yeah,
then I'll be rejected, and
yeah,
then I won't be loved, and then I'll
yeah.
be alone, and then I feel like I'm going to die. So then they don't want to speak up for themselves. They don't want to set clear boundaries because people will get upset with them.
Gotcha.
So sometimes the ego can, there's parts of the ego that are really loud. And even though it's great because I'm super confident, we want to bring you back into balance, because the confidence means that you're not acknowledging somebody else's boundaries or you're not acknowledging somebody else's energy. And so that's not great either. But either is like, I get walked all over by
No.
everybody and I can't speak my truth. So it's either end of the spectrum. We want to just bring you back into balance.
So ego can be our ally.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I think what I work with, because
Mm.
there's always programs that are great.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, what we talked about, if I'm dumb or
Mm.
stupid or unintelligent, then it's almost like motivation to push and prove.
Yeah.
But, so that's a really great thing. But then if you're pushing yourself too much where you can't exercise and you
Mm.
can't, lose weight, or you can't be with your family or do it, it's because the ego goes, I need to do this in order to be loved.
Yeah. Makes sense. And yeah, I would agree that resilience is something, and tenacity that I have, that is super useful, and it comes from a childhood of not being good enough.
Mm,
But even there, it's then at one stage I just have to say, okay, this is enough. Like, I don't have to, like, if something's not working, I will. There's a lot of leeway that I can go and go and go until it's fixed. But at one stage, it's just so, it's not sustainable anymore to ponder on that and prove that no, I can get this done.
hmm.
And actually saying, okay, yeah, no, not even I can get this done, and let's move on, and let's be actually practical and sensible here. So it can swing of like, great, it's a it's a powerhouse, really, like, or that thought of like, of like, I can prove myself, I can do it, but it can swing way too far, and then it's like, well,
Correct.
stop.
And this is all I do in clinic, is bring you back into
Oh,
balance.
okay.
So it's about looking at the great programs that are
Yeah.
working for you. I don't really have to deal with those
Mm.
because if they're great, they're in
Right.
balance. But it's the ones that, yeah, pull us out of integrity and alignment for our highest good or our goals and our full potential.
Mm.
If we're not really in alignment with that,
Mm.
it's like, a pilot. They're constantly, they have a destination, right? But they're constantly bringing themselves back because they're constantly going off track, right? And that's what we need to do. And this is why kinesiology is so important. It's just like training, right? Training the body. You're you need that constant guidance. You need that constant pivoting back into alignment with where you really want to be.
That is so funny. So I'm a pilot, and
Are
what?
you
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
like private, but
Wow.
when it comes to adjustment, that's exactly right. And
Yeah.
you really always need to check in, like, am I going where I want to get? Because if you would use just certain instruments, you would only know I'm going really fast. I'm really high, and the compass by itself will not tell you that either. So, really checking in, sort of like, and pivoting a little bit. Well, which comes back to sort of like doing even maintenance sessions with you, right? To make sure that, everything is on. To me, that's so important. Yeah, I
Mm,
think that's having that maintenance. I call that now also, have a maintenance session with certain practitioners. To me,
mm,
is just normal. It's,
yeah.
yeah.
And just on that
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
destination thing, I always use in clinic the analogy of driving in a car.
Uh-huh.
So you're driving in the car,
Mm.
right? So what would you say? 90% of the time you're looking in front of you.
Right.
And then sometimes you might glance at the front and go, what is all this traffic? And you'll look ahead in the
Mm-hmm.
future. And then often you'll look in the rear view
Mm.
mirror. That is like 5% ahead, 5% behind. This is what life needs to be. You need to be super present, probably 90% of the time,
Hmm.
right? So you don't crash and burn.
Yeah.
But then look where you've come from. Look how far you've come. I'm all about celebrating the small wins. Like, oh my God, look at this. I feel amazing. Oh, that was only from one session. Oh my God. And then looking in the future of going, am I still on track to get to my goal of where I need to be?
Mm-hmm.
So you stay on track. So it's all about little baby footsteps in the right direction. And sometimes people go, "Oh, I'm feeling better, Tara. I won't see you for, a month or so." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you come back whenever you're ready." And then they come back and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm not exercising. I've broken up with my partner. I'm so depressed. I feel anxious, or I've tried to apply for a job and I'm not getting it because I'm just not positive and happy." And so a lot of things can happen in that time. So again, it's just getting them back on track. But a lot of the time when people come and see me for a problem, I work with them for maybe 3, sometimes 4 sessions to clear an issue or a program, which is pretty cool. Because if you've had that issue online for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, and you clear it in 4 sessions,
Yeah.
that's pretty powerful.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how quickly we can clear.
That's so cool.
Mm.
So you wanted to talk about how you got into this, but sort of
Mm.
like your main trauma. Did you touch on that? There was basically sort of being around numbed people. Is it the main thing?
Pretty much. I mean, look, when I started out in the fashion industry, it was, like I mentioned, super, super stressful. And I went and saw a kinesiologist only because my girlfriend said, "I think you should go and see a kinesiologist." And I was like, "I don't even know what that is."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, she'll just tune into your energy
Hmm.
and then you don't even have to talk that much." And I'm like, "Are
Oh,
you
great.
serious? That's
Handy.
great, right?"
Outsourcing your issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I don't have to do the heavy lifting of
Yeah.
all the emotional work, which obviously at that time I was so numb and I didn't even know what to even
Yeah.
talk about. And to be honest, I was probably really scared to go into some sort of therapy because it just meant that I had to tune in with what was really going on and face a lot of my stuff. So that terrified me as well. But when I went to see her, like, I can honestly say after the first session, I was hooked. She changed so much in me because she got me to a point of connecting in with myself. She would muscle test me to find and correct the imbalances in my body. So I didn't even realize that I was holding on to so much emotional baggage from my life, from my relationships, from my work, from my culture, society, from my upbringing. I was holding on to all these belief systems. And then she cleared it. And then I was like, oh my God, I felt so much more love, so much more compassion for myself. She taught me how to just be present with myself and be okay with that because it was always phone, 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 TV, TV, magazine, magazine, or drinking, drinking, all these distractions.
So you weren't thinking about and reflecting much?
No, that was not in my family. My mum was like, anytime we felt upset about dad being an alcoholic, she would say, "You got to be strong. You got to be strong. Don't get upset. You got to be strong." So I would look at my mum and I'd be like, "What's strong look like?" And she was non emotional, stern, got on with life. So then that's what I learned to be like.
So alcoholism, in your experience, was something like your dad was just really rude and unrational and non-loving?
He was just absent, never around. And then
Oh,
when he was around, he was drunk. So, if you ever if you Google children of alcoholic parents, you should see all the symptoms, psychological symptoms, because we become super hypervigilant. And I think that's why I became a kinesiologist, because I read energy really fast. I can tune into people and everything that's going on for them really quickly and easily. It's like my superpower, but it's because I've grown up in an environment that was unsafe.
right. So basically, is he around? No, okay, I will probably have a better time. Is he around? Well, is he, rational and, reasonable, or will it be, I don't know, yeah, numbing or whatever experience where you
Yeah.
talk to a wall?
So he was great when he was sober,
Right.
great guy,
Yeah.
but then, 90% of the time he was drunk. Oh, yes, please.
Right. Mm. I see. And so through actually opening up and reflecting back on all of what you didn't reflect back. Because what you told me is basically you didn't reflect on what you were doing, you were just
Hmm.
doing, always being full throttle and absorbing content. That's interesting because I think from a modern society point of view, because we do this I don't want, like, with the dopamine hit that you get per post that you read or look at, or pictures you look at, and whatever the social app is that you use, that happens naturally, that you basically don't reflect, but actually just take more and more in. I'm at the moment sort of like on the whole ADHD thing, and people say, "Oh, I have no idea where it's coming from. It's just a thing of our society. It's just happening." It's like, really? I mean, like, let's have a look
Mm,
what's different now. And there's a lot to do with screen, and information is just so there. And I can see how that creates the same sort of issue,
hmm.
maybe unintentionally, maybe without wanting to be numbed. But it's like, oh, this is interesting. This is very interesting. It's more interesting than thinking about my feelings right now, and so on. And
Correct.
before you know it, you're completely disengaged and haven't, because that's probably human need, is also to recycle and reflect on a regular basis to sort of clear this stuff, right? And
Hmm.
there's often a lot of gold in these experiences anyway, so it's not all negative,
Mm.
right? But I see how that does might be a systemic issue.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, most people fear their emotions.
Mm.
Literally, nobody wants to really deal with anything. They're pushing down everything. I say to people, like a great analogy is like, have you ever tried to hold a ball under
Mm.
the water?
Mm.
It
Mm.
actually takes a lot of energy and
Mhm.
power, doesn't it? So imagine if you've got the grief of losing a loved one, then you've got, I don't know, trauma from childhood, and
Mhm.
then you've got that happened in primary school, then that in
Mm.
high school, then that relationship, and you're really holding down all these balls under the water. It takes so much energy to do that. Then you don't have energy to exercise, to
Mhm.
be in a relationship, or to be the person you want to be in that relationship,
Yeah.
or to give it to your work, or to reach your goals and your passion and your mission. This is all holding you back. So, what we do in clinic, I'm like, it's like we just pop one ball up
Mhm.
and we deal with that.
Mhm.
Then we pop another one, and then we pop, 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 pop. And what happens is you start to go, oh my God, I feel so much lighter.
Mhm.
Every single person, and especially after the first session, every single person says, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. I
Mm.
feel so much more at peace. I have clarity because they've just connected with themselves for an hour and a half. Who does that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
nobody creates a time and space. So that's what I learned as a kid. So when I grew up and when I was in the fashion industry, I loved it. That was my passion to go into that, but it was so stressful. And then I just drank to numb out all the stress, all the emotions, all like I was in a relationship, and yes, on some level it was great, but I wasn't really happy, but I just numbed that out as well because I
Mhm.
didn't want to deal with the circumstances. And then I got to a point when my girlfriend said, "Go and see a kinesiologist." Started to heal everything. I stopped drinking.
Oh.
I started taking supplements.
Mhm.
I started eating better.
Mhm.
I started watching the way my body would respond to stress and anxiety. So I would tune more into my parasympathetic nervous system. So I would do breathing techniques. So I take myself for walks on my lunch break rather than working through my lunch. There was all these little things, all these little steps that I did that helped me to move forward, to reach my goal. Eventually, I left because I love this. This is so powerful. When I was in my clinic, or in the clinic with my kinesiologist back in the day,
Mm.
she said to me, what if, because I grew up in a society where money was everything, right? So it
Mhm.
didn't matter if you were happy or not happy in your job or in a relationship, as long as you earned money,
Mm.
as long as you were doing what society, quote unquote, deems to be
Mhm.
successful, then you're all good. You're successful and you should be happy.
Mhm.
I was miserable.
Mm.
So I ended up looking at that going, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And I left everything. I ended up moving from Melbourne, quit my job. I started studying kinesiology full time for 3 years here in
Mhm.
Byron Bay. I broke up with my partner, like everything. I just left everything behind and I started this whole new magical life here. And it's been really beautiful all that time. And then that's the basis of my business. I get people out of their comfort zone. I get them to connect in with themselves. I get them off their addictions, whether it be food or alcohol or drugs,
Mm.
and get them more in tune with themselves to make those decisions,
Yes.
to get them to their mission, their purpose, or their full potential. So that was the basis of my business for many years. And then 10 years later, which only happened fairly recently, I suffered a heartbreaking miscarriage,
Mm.
and then I lost my mum 3 months later. And then 11 months later, my dad died. I was actually doing IVF treatments, and they
Mm,
kept failing and failing with all the stress and the grief.
mm,
So for me, it was a really challenging time, and I had a fiance at the
mm,
time, but with all the stress, then we ended up breaking up
mm,
because of it was just too overwhelming for him and obviously a lot of stress for me. So after all that trauma, I took a year off work because I was feeling like I couldn't function in life. I had so much grief, so much overwhelm. And it's interesting because I have all the tools and the techniques as a kinesiologist, yet in that space, I actually couldn't access any of it. I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to smile again. I'm never going to laugh again. I'm never going to work again because I can't even remember what I've been doing over the last, 16, 15 years. So it was a really challenging time for me. So I took the year off and then I started doing 101 kinesiology on myself. And I started working with sitting in stillness, really allowing my body to feel all of those emotions and just saying yes to it because I teach this every day. Oh, you got to feel your emotion. And then here's me like numb again, right? Because it was too overwhelming.
mm,
So I just did little baby steps of going into the emotion. And I remember one day I was on the floor and I was moving my body in like a cat cow posture.
mm,
And I was saying yes to the grief and
mm,
yes to all the emotion. And I really moved through a lot of it. And that to me was super powerful. And it's what I teach whenever I have clients come through with anything traumatic like
mm,
grief and losing a loved one. I get them to really sit in the grief.
mm,
And it's okay to feel the emotion
mm,
because I think we're so afraid of feeling emotion. And if we can really tune into that and connect in with what's really happening, we can understand ourselves with kindness and love and compassion and understand why it's there and move through it.
mm,
Because if you don't feel it, you'll never heal it. You have to actually work through it to get to the other side. So in clinic, I say to clients, like, I'm quite playful and fun in the clinic to make it enjoyable because it's pretty heavy stuff that we go through, but I can also hold space as well in
mm,
those times
mm.
that we need to. And sometimes, for example, there'll be a really bad breakup. The person can't even say the person's name, like the client can't say the person's name. And then we do all the clearing and then and she's like, oh, this is feeling so uncomfortable. And it's like, it's okay. We'll do the clearing. We do the quick little clearing. And then I'm like, say the name again. And they're like, piece of cake. Like it's instant.
Wow,
Yeah. So you just clear it. You clear all the stress around it.
fascinating. It's almost like Harry Potter,
Exactly.
the one who shall not be named, and then
Exactly.
eventually it's like Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you
okay.
can say it and it's
Yeah.
fine,
All
right?
right.
So we use lots of skills and different techniques. So emotional freedom technique and NLP, neuro linguistic programming. So when we work with all of these, it's tapping, it's
All right.
emotional freedom technique is really connecting in with the emotion that
Yeah,
you're feeling
used to do
about.
that for a while.
Yeah.
Mm,
So emotional freedom technique is great because you work with the emotion, but NLP is neuro linguistic programming. So it's the mind, the language that you use. So we're doing a whole combination of those two together.
mm.
Plus through muscle testing to find the
Yeah.
emotion, which is super powerful. Then we find the meridian pathway that it's related to. So then we start tapping and start rotating. And then this is why you clear it, because you interfere, because everything has a neural pathway, trauma, belief systems, patterns. And if you
Yeah.
interrupt that, you can actually get to a point where you don't even believe that that's true anymore. So it takes the stress out of it.
Look, I think it would be good if you back up sort of
Mm-hmm.
how the emotions run through actually our physical nerves and and different pathways there, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's something that most people don't know. Um, and it's real. It's
Mm-hmm.
just electricity, so you don't necessarily you can't really see
Exactly.
it or something
Yeah.
like that. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so we are just energy,
Yeah.
right? And we're in a sea of
Mm,
energy. And when I said before, our energy started merging at the start of the
mm,
session or the start of the podcast,
mm-hmm,
and our hearts came into this coherence,
mm,
right? We're all just energy. Everything's energy, which means I can tap into your energy right now, obviously with your permission, but I work online as well. So I can tap into anyone's energy from a distance as well, because energy has is not it's not
local.
yeah, well, it's not defined by space and time. Like
Okay.
we're here and this is your
Yeah.
body and it stops at your
Yeah.
skin, because if you zoom down, you're like 99.99999 space,
Mm,
right? So energy and emotion is the same thing. So emotion is energy in motion.
Mm,
So emotion is not meant to get stuck in your body.
mhm,
So it's meant to move through your body. But when I mentioned the balls before, you know how we
mhm,
push it down and we get stuck in it, that's the problem. So when we get stuck in anger, we get stuck in grief, we get stuck in depression or
mm,
anxiety, it's because you're holding on to the emotion. So certain emotions will trigger certain things in the body. And this is where it's strong roots in traditional Chinese medicine that we work with. So something like your kidneys
mm,
will be connected to fear, anxiety,
mm,
and something like your large intestine will be all about letting go and grief, and lungs are about opening up to the world. So certain emotions will sit in certain parts of your body. And so if you come in with bowel issues, I'll be like, oh, are you suffering from grief or not letting go or a lack of understanding and acceptance towards something? Or even heart. I mean, if you have heart problems, it's like, have you had a heartbreak? Have you been in a position where you just feel like, oh, my heart is so sad because I lost that relationship or I lost that loved one? So emotions can move around the body, but generally, when you look at from a perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, you can pinpoint those
mm,
parts.
mm.
And because we're just energy, it's just, it moves through you. So in a heartbeat, as Tony Robbins says, a huge fan of Tony. He says you can change your life in a heartbeat. You just need to witness what's going on and move through it.
Mhm.
But nobody is still enough to do that. And this is why kinesiology is great, because when you get into that theta brainwave, you can really tap into that space.
Mm.
And you don't even, like, you're so suggestible and open to it that you're like, yeah, let's go into that emotion, Tara. You don't even worry about it because the critical mind, like I said, is not there.
Ah, so and you have certain techniques to get people to theta, almost
Yes,
asleep, but not quite.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do like mirroring, or we do like just meeting people where they're at,
Mhm,
making people feel really comfortable and
mhm,
just allowing them to soften and surrender. And people love being heard, love being heard.
mm.
A lot of the time, people don't feel heard.
Yeah, which is interesting. Every now and then, I sort of fine tune sort of my relationship skills, but also actually working with my team, and I might hear them, but it makes a huge difference if I also say the words back.
Hmm.
So to me it might be the same because I got that, but it's great to play back to them. It's like, so you saying that this is really not working for you, or you're saying
Hmm.
that this is super important for you, and I recently experienced that also from a partner. She said, like, oh, just so that you really know, I heard you saying X, Y, and Z,
Mm.
and it does help to really feel heard and confident, like that. Yeah, we're on the
Hmm.
same. I don't have to push further this point because I
Hmm.
was actually heard. It's amazing how subtle all this stuff is.
Hmm.
It's not like the problem that is caused by having emotions stuck, and and being stuck in general. The problems are major. Like, you basically ruin your body with alcohol, for example, or ruin your relationships and all the rest of it. But the actual work on it is not. I mean, yes, it's scary. Topics come up and all the rest of it, but in comparison, the trade-off of not to deal with it is terrible.
Mm,
You basically waste
absolutely.
your life,
Hmm.
and you're miserable,
Yeah, 100%.
and a liability potentially as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I
Mm,
think that's so important with anything that you're feeling in yourself,
mm,
to be really heard in that space. And we do active listening as well. And active listening is just, uh huh, mm, oh, okay. And it's just nodding and verbal, not interrupting them, but just continue, continue. I mean, you're a great podcaster. That's what you do as well. So it's a skill that you already have, but it's actually something that a lot of people need to learn. But in kinesiology, that's what I do. And I encourage people to keep talking. And the more that they talk, the more they drag out the things that they probably weren't feeling safe enough to say to a partner or a friend.
uh-huh.
So you get them to talk and talk. I've had so many clients going, oh, you've got my husband. He'll never talk to you. You won't get anything out of him. Or a son. Oh, he doesn't even talk. I don't even know how you're going to work with him.
Yes,
They always talk. Always.
because you're trained in being opening up people and feeling safe, I guess, to start with.
Correct.
Yeah,
And that's the big, thank you for saying that.
yeah,
The safety
mm,
is the biggest thing, because if you feel safe, oh, you can
yeah,
relax and you can open. And this is where we can go into some of those deep seated emotions, because people go, oh, I feel safe with her. That's
Mm.
okay. I can talk to her about this stuff, and I talk about everything.
Yeah. And I think that's a wonderful topic actually. I'm part of a couple of groups where there's absolute confidentiality, so you don't talk about that.
Mm,
And like, nothing, no one, never is sort of the mantra. And if you know that really people embrace that, it creates something really wonderful because you feel safe. You definitely feel safe because there's no way that this comes out to anyone else. And I wonder why we don't have that more. I guess that you have to, like, with your partner. I guess that there should be, to me, a great partnership is if you don't have to have secrets, and if you
mm.
if you can really openly talk about your fears, and your needs, and whatever it might be, really.
So authenticity over approval.
Yes, yes, yes,
I love
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you can be really authentic in yourself, and I love some of my girlfriends have said to me, "Oh, Tara, it's so great. I feel like I can always share things with you because you share." And, some people might say, well, actually, some people have called me Tara Overshare Shields. But I like to share
Yeah.
because it inspires people to go, oh, well, if she's telling me
Mm,
that, then I'm going to express this. And it's actually not for me, it's for them to actually feel like they can talk about things that maybe they felt uncomfortable to talk about before, especially in a clinic space. But I do it with my girlfriends as well and my partner.
mm,
I think it's really important to have that vulnerability. And, they used to say that love is the highest vibrational frequency. And I work with
mhm.
obviously lots of vibrational frequency. Authenticity is higher, apparently.
That's interesting. I've not. That means something to me.
What does that mean for you?
Well, that's really macro, but if the universe and existence is yin and yang, then it will not be just love, but it will be just it. Um, don't know if I like it, but that's my framework of existence and consciousness and all the rest of it. So if you say it's authenticity, then it's not just love. It's
Mm,
it's the dark, and it's the shadow as well as the light.
100%. That's who you are. You're a human being, and we have a light side shadow and we have a dark shadow. And people are very happy to like fluff around in the light. Oh, yeah, I'm really good at that and I'm great at that. And but then the shadow, you're like, don't want to talk about that. And that's what I do in clinic. We shine the light on the shadow side
Hmm.
so we can start making changes.
Hmm.
And this is where you want to make changes. That's great. If you can connect in. So the light shadow is when you see something in someone else. Like you go, oh, wow, you're amazing at your
Hmm.
job. Oh, you're
Mm,
incredible. You're you articulate
mm,
yourself very well. That is what you have in yourself. If you're recognizing it in another, you have it in yourself. It's a reflection. But the other side too is also true.
yeah.
So if you're like, oh, that person's lazy, oh, that person's fat, bit chubby, or that person's eating shitty food, oh, that's so bad. If you connect in with that, and it's almost like a judgment, which is what we
Hmm.
talked about before as a trigger, you might find that if you turn the mirror to yourself, you'll be like, oh, damn, that's me.
Mm.
That's your belief system, but you don't want to see it because it's your shadow. So we work with that stuff as well to bring it out into the light, and then you can heal it. So this is why I love authenticity and vulnerability and connection, because if you have those three things, it's like a silver platter. It's like, there you go, Tara, deal with that. It's like, okay.
Who came up with this whole thing? Like, this sounds to me so multifaceted that it's actually
Mm.
hard to believe that this is like like one school of
And this is
practice.
exactly why I said kinesiology. I can't explain it in like a sentence
Uh-huh.
because kinesiology, it's so multifaceted
Mm,
with lots of things. So it originally came from chiropractic.
mm,
Yeah. And then there was a chiropractor who brought in all of the skills and the knowledge from Kendall and Kendall with muscle testing. So the chiropractor, so as a kinesiologist, we need to learn everything of
mm.
the body,
Yeah.
structurally, skeletal, muscular, all the biochemistry of the
Mm,
body and pathology. Like we need to learn all of it. And obviously, we're muscle testing. So we need to learn all the muscles, which meridians they're related to in traditional Chinese medicine, where the points are, as in the acupressure points on the body. So there's so many things that we need to
mm,
acknowledge and
mm,
learn. And so, yeah, so the chiropractor learned Kendall and Kendall's muscle testing. plus he had all the structural muscular understanding. Then he started bringing in traditional Chinese medicine to it. So those three modalities are the basis of what kinesiology is. And then I think it was Dr. John Thie came up with Touch for Health. And Touch for Health is a really easy, practical way for the layperson to do some tools, techniques on themselves, or have some tools and do some techniques on themselves to actually heal themselves. And then it started getting a little bit broader with, okay, so we're including talk therapy, we're including intuitive healing, we're working with the emotions, we're working with the mirroring, the shadow side. Like there's so much, it's so multifaceted that's why I always find it quite challenging to go, what is kinesiology? You know, someone in passing, they go, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a kinesiologist. They're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's because I'm like, you don't want to sit here for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So really, in a nutshell, kinesiology works with the body's energy system, and we use muscle testing to find and correct imbalances in the body. And we start clearing out old limiting programs, beliefs, behaviors, patterns, and everything like that to help you to get to your full potential, your mission, your purpose, and your passion.
Beautiful. Very nice. So if you, the muscle testing is something that I have been explained before and I got it, but if someone would ask me right now, so muscle testing, why is this even working? Why is your must be subconscious, somehow has control over your muscles?
Yeah.
When you ask the conscious mind a question?
Okay, so with muscle testing, I know it's
where they
big,
come
I know
from.
it's
No,
such a big question, but so muscle testing. So
Just the reason why I think it's important for people to hear this and what, because it sounds magical, it sounds be like so woo-woo.
Yes.
Like, you know, when you say you do this via screen,
Yeah.
people's like, I have no concept.
Yeah.
Can't be true, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it comes really from there's just not enough understanding of these types of things. And I get that, you know, 10, 20 years ago, people definitely would throw that in an event. It's like, that's just crazy. Yeah, if it works for you, fine. But, you know, obviously this is not real. You're just believing it and so on. Whereas now there's a confidence around this and also an explanation. And I'm really looking forward to you to explain that, because science, I guess, has helped us also just like demystify it. It's like, yeah, it's unusual from sort of more Newtonian type of thinking or of an old-fashioned type of thinking. But nowadays, muscle testing is actually really clearly understood and can be easily described too.
Yeah, easily described.
Here we go.
Let's see if I can articulate that.
Yeah.
So you have lots of different reflexes in your body. Your muscles contract and they relax, contract and relax. So when you walk, obviously as a baby, you learn how to crawl. And so your brain has to work out which muscles to contract, which muscles to relax to move. And then we have to learn to walk. And it's the same thing. You learn how to play tennis, or you surf, or you run. Like it's all the different muscles are contracting and relaxing. So you have that. Then so the muscle has a direct link with contracting or relaxing. Then there's the other part of your nervous system. So when you can answer this for me. When you get really stressed, you've got all the kids going, they're all sick, your partner's sick, you've got to run your business, you've got to buy all the food, clean the house, organize things, and you're so stressed. How does your body feel?
Yeah, I mean, the neck in particular would get really,
Tight.
really tight. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, tight. Yeah.
So that stress and tension is in your neck. So how is that? Like you're just feeling an emotion of stress and then all of a sudden your muscles respond. Interesting, right?
Interesting.
So then when you're going on holidays and you're on a spa and you have your beautiful saunas and you're relaxed and you just feel like everything's carefree, how's your body feel?
Relaxed.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So neurologically and your nervous system, everything responds in your body. Your body is just a instrument and it'll show you what is happening in your body. I'm the same. When I get stressed, my neck goes really, really tight. It's like when you're in a fight, or okay, I'll put it this way. So, you know, when you have a coffee, if someone has a coffee, they go, oh, I need to go to the toilet. It's because their body is in a fight or flight response. It tricks the body into the sympathetic nervous system to go, you're in danger because you've got all this adrenaline and cortisol coming out. And so your body has to let go.
Oh,
so
is that why?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you know, when you say, like, I'm sorry if I'm being a bit naughty by saying, But, you know, when
Mm.
you get frightened, you go, oh my God, he was so scared. Or I'm so scared I nearly shit myself.
Right. It came from
It's
truth.
literally because your body will expel, like your muscles will react to certain emotions and situations.
And gear you up basically for flight and flight. Fight or
Correct.
flight.
Because
Yes.
when you're in a fight or flight,
Yeah.
it's only really your heart, your lungs, and your blood and everything to pump through the muscles to run
Uh-huh.
or to fight.
Yeah.
You don't need your digestive tract.
Mm-mm.
So all those muscles loosen and you go to the
Yeah,
toilet
wow.
because you don't need that for your fight or flight or freeze
Yeah.
response. So when you say it like that, you're like, oh, yeah. So the muscles react to how I'm feeling. The muscles react to when I'm programming my body to learn different skills. We just don't know that the muscles actually are so in tune, finely tuned to the way we feel and what we perceive. So if you're walking down a dark alleyway by yourself in a really dodgy town, how would your body feel?
Tense.
Yeah. But it's only a thought, a perception, right? You're coming up with a scenario, oh my God, imagine if I get mugged or beaten up. It's your body reacting. So that wasn't very quick, but that's kind of the setup to how muscle testing works. So what we do in kinesiology is we find a muscle, and we can test any muscle in the body really, but we find a muscle that is a good indicator muscle which will be working, and so we always test and make sure that it's working for us, and there's little things that we do for that. And what happens is if you think about something, you will be super relaxed. Like if you're like, oh my God, we're going on a holiday next week, the family, I'm so excited. Your muscle would literally hold strong.
Strong.
Because you're like, there's no stress in my body. I feel really good.
Okay.
If I said, oh my God, you've got all these bills coming in and you can't afford to pay it, and the kids are all like crazy and sick, and oh my God, we've just got so much going on, your body would literally weaken because of stress.
So it's not literally that if there's stress, my body tenses up. It's more like you feel the
It's a reaction to the stress. It's like, oh, this feels not great. So what happens with the tension is that some muscles just switch off, which means the other muscles need to work harder. So I describe it like a saloon door. You know, like the saloon doors, they kind of, you go this way and this muscle stretches and this one contracts.
Yes.
So when you're in a stress response, some muscles will just switch off because they're so stressed. Other muscles will be hypertonic, which means they get so tight because the other muscle's not doing anything. So when you have a stress response in the body's going, oh my God, I don't like that. I feel terrible. And you can think about, like when you're in a dark alleyway, you think about, oh my God, imagine if that happened. Then your body would feel a little bit out of balance and a bit out of whack. Whereas if you're calm, relaxed, can you feel your whole body functions optimally? So in kinesiology, we do the yes, no. So we say yes, and your body locks strong, and no is an unlock, because your body knows it's in this innate belief system. And because we might not be in that fine tuning detail of how our body's responding to things, but if you really think about it, your body's always responding to everything. Always. But we just tap into, is this substance good for you? No, it's causing so much stress. So little kids come in and I'll put on their favorite thing. When I was working in clinic, like in person, I'll put on their favorite packet of chips. And they'll be like, I love it, I love it, I love it. And I'm like, okay, let's see. So we take it away and we do all the muscle testing, and they're super strong. I put it on their belly button, which is where we first get our nutrients as a baby. Put it on their belly button and all their muscles. They laugh because they're like, I can't do anything. They can't hold any of their muscles. It weakens their whole system.
Wow.
So over time, if you keep thinking the thoughts, eating the foods, putting, alcohol, drugs, whatever in your body, it's going to weaken your body. And so with muscle testing, we find and correct those. But, things like addictions and stuff, we're not going to correct those, because the correction would be, why are you doing that? What is it that you need? So for me, the alcohol in my 20s was, I needed that to numb out. Otherwise, I'd think about all the problems I have, and I don't want to deal with that because I can't. So I don't know if that helps to kind of understand the muscle testing. But because I'm working online now, I ask for permission with the person in the screen, and I say, is it possible for me to surrogate for you? So then I'm using my fingers to surrogate as a yes and a no response.
That would be woo-woo for many people.
I know. And this is the thing, when you understand energy, it's just like, energy is like everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you can tune into that, and it's really hard to explain to people.
Yeah.
And this is why I say, come, explore, try it out. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, then you never have to see me again.
Mhm.
But and it's interesting because when you start going, oh, look at my fingers in the beginning of the session, and you'll see when you're locking or when you're unlocking with a stress response. And I always say, after about 5 or 10 minutes, you won't even look at my finger. You'll be feeling everything in your body. They know, they feel everything because I'm tuning them into their body more.
That's crazy, isn't
You're going to have to come for a session.
it? Great. Okay. Of course.
Yeah.
Let's see if I have anything. Do you have anything in particular that you want to cover that's really important, sort of like to know, or to talk about?
Yeah, I think what we just touched on was
Yeah.
the stress.
Yes.
And I think stress is one of the biggest things that I deal with in clinic because, it affects your digestive
Yeah.
tract, it affects your sleep, it affects your wake, your energy,
Mm.
and during the day, it affects everything. So stress is one of the things that we really work on, and we clear a lot of that stress out through finding out, well, why are you so stressed? What is it that's stressing you
Mm.
out? So a lot of people will have a relationship that they don't want to be in,
That's stressful.
a job that they're not even passionate about,
Yeah.
kids that are sick or challenged and in some way. Like there's a lot of things, but some things you can let go of, like a job, and you can't let go of your children,
Mm.
but you can create programs around a better belief system around, I'm going to be more compassionate with them,
Yeah.
even though they're quite challenging. I'm going to come from a space of love and empathy
Yeah.
to understand what they're going through,
Mm-hmm.
and then that changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Perspective. Yeah. I
So it's
understand.
all about yes, with your 5 kids. So, having that perspective
Mm.
of what is going on
Mm.
in your reality, and then going, oh, that's not a very good program that I've got around that person or
Yeah.
around that situation and scenario, you can just change it. But a lot of the time you do need to let go of certain things like biochemical disruptions and things like work if you're not happy with it, or relationships, or even friendships. Over the years I've had to let go of some friendships and it's really challenging, but
Mm.
I surround myself with lots of positive people. I don't watch any violence or drama or crime or anything on the TV. I don't read newspapers. I don't listen to the news on the radio.
Mm.
And I don't do that to be ignorant. I actually do that to support my energy because I feel like I'm the light bearer, and I'm here to help. That's my mission.
Mm.
So if I'm getting sucked into all of that negativity and fear, and I don't like it, it actually disturbs my energy a lot. So I need to be really clear, and I treat my energy very, very seriously. I
Mm.
cleanse before a session, I cleanse after the
Yeah.
session.
Right.
I cleansed before I came here, so
Mm-hmm.
it's nice, clear
Mm.
for you.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's how I see energy. It's really, really important in my work.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mm.
Um, I think I often mix up. That's actually quite a technical question, maybe for you. Not sure. I often mix up if trauma is stored in the body and muscle testing. So you can use any muscle of your body to sort of get the yes and no's and ask questions and go into the subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's also that aspect that people do store, like when you were talking about pain in a particular, like in the
Mm.
knees, right?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with muscle testing, but it's more like where that energy is held off someone saying, you will never be a great runner. Your dad
Mm-hmm.
says you will never be a good runner. You always have a funny walk,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore you will always have a funny walk. And that somehow also is energetically, it sits there, right?
100%. I love that
Mm.
you brought that up
Mm.
because I work really metaphysically as well.
Mm.
So basically, what that means is your body is like a barometer of what's going on for you. So parts of your body tell me a story. So say, for example, that you
Mm.
were
Mm.
your both your knees,
Mm.
or maybe even your left hand side knee
You're right.
is really sore. So it means you can't walk, you can't do all these things. So your knees are about moving forward,
Mhm.
right? And your left hand side is all your feminine side.
Mm.
So it's all your nurturing and the flow and moving with love and compassion and kindness. That means that's a block in there. So sometimes I say to people, like I get them to fill out a form when they
Mm.
come in, and I'll do a metaphysical reading of them just based on the form. And they're like, how did you know that? What? I
Mhm.
didn't tell you anything about that. And I'm like, yeah, because you've written all these things.
Mhm.
So I'll be like, oh, well, your shoulder on the right hand side, that's your masculine. If you got a lot of,
Mm.
you're carrying a burden on your
Mm.
shoulders. your left knee, you're not really nurturing yourself and moving forward in that way.
Mm.
And then maybe your feet or your toe is not great. It's about direction and being able to move forward in that direction in a way that is nurturing and
Mm.
loving, and letting go of all the
Mm.
burdens, because we get stuck. And if you're not moving forward, you're going to get stuck with the burdens. So sometimes in session, especially if they come with physical elements, I will do a metaphysical reading and they're like, what?
Yeah.
So the reason why things get stuck in certain areas of the body is I feel that your body's trying to communicate with you. Your body's always trying to communicate with you. But when you get into those spaces where you go, why is it always my left knee? And people say to me, oh, but Tara, it's because I fell on the left side. And I'm like, yeah, but you also have a wrist and a shoulder on the left-hand side too that's sore.
Mm.
Like, what is going on there?
Mm.
You know, or it might be the opposite side. Well, you fell that side, but this side's hurting too. And so there's all these different things that we can look at. And yes, pain gets stuck in certain parts of the body. And again, traditional Chinese medicine helps you with the emotional, like when you look at the meridian or even the muscle that the meridian is related to, it'll give you an idea of all the emotions in that meridian pathway. So it's really cool.
Mm.
So that's what I mean. There's so many different areas I work with.
Yeah.
And what I love is I kind of say to people, you know, clients first coming to see me, it's like you come in, you talk, you throw the dots. It's like you throw all these random dots everywhere. And my job is to join all the dots and create a picture and tell you what's going on.
That's fascinating.
Mm.
I do want to have a session with you. That's great.
You will love it. Everyone loves it. Like, it's such a beautiful modality for just clearing out so many things that you didn't even really know that were there,
Yes.
you know, because again, we don't really connect in enough. Like, you have an hour and a half to talk about yourself and connect in.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Other people go, ah,
Yeah.
that sounds terrible, scary. But that's what I was like when I went in to see the kinesiologist. I was like, if you do all the heavy lifting,
Yes.
you tell me through muscle testing what I'm
Uh-huh.
feeling. Okay, I'll do that. But
That's
I
great.
didn't want to go in and go, so I've got a
No,
relationship.
that's right.
Da-da-da-da-da.
No, fair enough.
But they find it,
Yeah.
kinesiologists, we find it, and then we shift it out. And that's the one other point I wanted to make just quickly is that it doesn't take years of therapy to move emotions out.
Yes. Actually, I mean, it would be lovely if you just tell me your point of view. I talked to someone about that actually this morning, who also is, he's a neuroscientist, I would say. Is he a doctor in
Mm,
yeah. So, and he would say that, look, you can have so much therapy, you will never get it done because you basically keep putting the spotlight on the issue. And therefore you go more and more into detail of the issue. You almost amplify it, but it's not getting better because of that, right? And I
mhm,
think that's where I think we went wrong whenever this started, where, I mean, you just want to really have tools that are effective to move it on, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get in that analysis paralysis and we just
Yeah.
talk through it all the time and it amplifies it even more.
Mm.
So my job is to go, okay. And the way I work, we go into specific age
Mm.
and I find the emotion and I go, at 13, there was a lot of grief. What
Mm.
happened there?
Mm.
And you'll be like, oh my God, that was terrible. That
Mm.
was when my dog passed
Mm.
away and all this stuff happened and it was just horrible. And then we had to move. And so it brings up all the triggers, right? It brings up all the emotion and it's perfect because it's there, it's on the
Mm.
table. And then we go, clear it, and then it's done. And then you think back at that time again, you go, I feel more peace around that.
Mm.
You know, so you don't have to sit in all this trauma for years and years. And this is like my point that I want to help people to clear things really, really fast. And I have workshops online and I have an app now because, you know, through all my trauma that I've been through, especially after losing my mom and dad and having a miscarriage, and then that was
Mm.
all in 14 months. I had
Mm.
all that trauma. I decided that I wanted to expand my business. So, like one-on-one, you can only really connect with
Mm.
healing you
Mhm.
one brain at a time. And it's like, well, I want to do more. I
Mm.
want to help people online where they can go, if I can learn the skills and the tools
Mm.
and the techniques that will help me to surrender, sit with myself, to connect in. I wish I had all of that, to be honest,
Mm.
back in the day. And then heal myself.
Mm.
Look at the programs. I teach you how to muscle test. I teach you how to do emotional freedom technique and NLP. I help you through all of the different procedures
Mm.
to actually heal yourself. And that's what I want. I want people to have access to this stuff.
I think that's where we're moving to anyway, that, these
100%.
things are so much more available to us all. And, let's hope at one stage we will actually be taught at school things like this, because that's really, I think, what's needed. Like, I feel that at the moment schools miss a little bit the mark when it goes just for knowledge that is, out of date so quickly. It's really about, life skills like these that make you able to move forward and explore life much more fuller.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Hey, that was really, really beautiful to talk to you. I would love to know how to best find out about you. So, you're probably on Instagram,
Yes. Tara Shields Kinesiology.
Shields, SHEIE.
IE. LDS. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And website,
Website, Tara Shields Kinesiology. Yeah.
.com,
Supereasy.com.
.com.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just .com.
great.
Yeah. I've got Facebook. I don't really use that
Yeah,
much. It's more Instagram. And Instagram has my whole story of all my grief on
yeah,
there because, as you know, I'm all about authenticity
yeah,
and vulnerability. So I just shared all of that.
yeah.
So I do that so people can connect in and go, oh, wow. If she's
Mm,
experienced that, then she can help me through
mm,
my experience as well. So I have shared a lot on there, which is
mm.
great. And all the fun stuff too, all the
Yeah,
travel and all this yummy stuff that I've done too. So,
terrific.
yeah,
Oh, sounds great.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tara. And thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
work and, getting through your own stuff through to be
Mm.
able to help others. That sounds absolutely amazing. And I think your picture girl, poster girl for kinesiology and the breadth of different modalities that really brings together, and the opportunities for anyone really
Mm-hmm.
to look at themselves and get more out of life and move through
Yeah.
stuff that they don't want anymore.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It
It's
was
been
awesome to have you.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.